Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Halfwits Nosebleeds Podcast. My name is Josh, and I'm here with my co-host,
Ethan.
Ethan. Hello, how are you?
I'm great. I'm a little bit under the weather, so apologies.
Under the weather?
My apologies for sounding ill, but, nothing's going to stop me from getting you this content, so.
You know how it is. Everybody, gets sick sometimes. It's better to get it over with early. So, once we get into the mid-season, we can be on our A game, full 100%. We're always 100% though. Stay hard. Stay hard. Ethan, here we are with our week 2 analysis. A crazy week this was. A bunch of really good games, bunch of unexpected banger games. I'm looking at one on my screen right now. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of blowouts, but a lot of really close games that didn't necessarily need to be close. I think the most surprising close game to me is probably the Cardinals and the Panthers.
Cardinals-Panthers, yeah. No, 100% I agree. It was a one-possession game at the end there. There was also a couple shootouts that, some people didn't really expect. A few blowouts that a lot of people expected, but, we'll get into that. Do you want to start off with this first game, Commanders versus Packers? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think in that game, the Packers are the real deal. We saw them shut down Detroit in week 1, and they looked just as good against a really good Commanders team that made it to the NFC Championship last year. I think trading for Michael Parsons is really what's going to take them to that next level. Next thing I want to touch on is how many injuries there were this week to specifically the quarterback position.
Right.
Yeah. I know Jaden Daniels went down in this week with a knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to play next week or not. Jaden Reed, I think, broke his collarbone this week. Just a lot of different injuries, a couple of big ones on display in this one, but I think the Packers, next level team, top tier in the NFC.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good match between two great teams.
Yeah, no, 100% I agree with you. I think the Packers this game, just offensively and defensively, just had a fantastic game. Going into it on the offensive side for the Packers, I think Jordan Love just showed how calm and controlled he could be, throwing the ball against the Commanders there with an average depth target of 14.7 yards, which is double of Jaden Daniels. Granted, he did get injured during the game. Jordan Love also went 19 for 31, 292 yards, and 2 touchdowns with no picks. Absolutely beautiful performance from him this game. And once again, that Jaden Daniels injury, we will get into, there were a lot of quarterback injuries this week, as you stated before. Jaden Daniels sprained a knee for him. There were a lot worse injuries for some quarterbacks this week, so we definitely will be getting into that. There were a couple offensive pieces on the Packers that, even though they beat the Commanders, I think definitely could have been utilized better. For example, Matthew Golden, I don't think he was fully utilized this game. I think he had the opportunity to score a touchdown. It was, I think, 4th and down in the end zone, and it was broken up. But once again, Josh Jacobs as well, I think, had 1 touchdown, 23 carries for 84 yards, and average of 3.7 yards per carry. Even with the touchdown, I think he isn't being fully utilized to his best, which is very scary, just because of how good, the Packers offense is already, and how good the defense is, which, I will talk about in a second here. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Matthew Golden, still a rookie, second game of the year, trying to grow into things. I think in these past 2 games, the defense for the Packers has really been the thing that's, shined for them, got them in the position for Jordan Love, the offense, to do exactly what they need to do. The offense really hasn't done too much special other than this last performance from Tucker Kraft. On the other side of the ball, I forgot to mention another big injury. Austin Eckler died on the field. I think he blew out his Achilles or something.
Yeah, no, it was his Achilles. You were correct. That is, definitely a horrible injury, especially for your running back 1.
Especially when he's reaching that age where he might not be able to come back from that. But for fantasy owners everywhere and lovers of the one Bill Krosky Merritt,
Oh yeah.
opportunity, rejoice. Not to say that what happened to Austin Eckler is a good thing at all, but I think Bill Krosky Merritt finally gets to shine in this offense and be the running back one.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely an opportunity for him to shine. Not in this game, though, just because of how dominant the Packers defense was. Javon Bullard, 5 solo sacks. He had absolutely fantastic pass rushing, which, when Jaden Daniels was in the game, didn't really give him a lot of time in the pocket, to scan the field and make the passes. He was, forced to throw the ball out quickly, which, definitely one of the reasons why they lost this game. Micah Parsons on the defense, I feel like, is just like a boon for the Packers defense, like a captain of the sorts. I don't know if he is the captain on the defense. I'd be surprised if he didn't have a voice, on the defensive line, or on the defense, but at one point he was triple teamed and he still collapsed the pocket. So I think he's just, such a great guy to have on that line. And there were some other, key components. I think the defense also got Jaden Daniels. I know, once again, he was injured, so the stats are kind of skewed a little bit. He's one of the top rushing quarterbacks in the league. He only had 17 rushing yards this game. So definitely kept them contained, and I definitely think the Packers defense pretty much, won them the game this week. What do you think?
Yeah, they're legit, man.
Sure.
That's all I have for that one.
Yeah, no, for sure. That is all I have for that one. I think, the Commanders, bunch of missed opportunities, 2 missed field goals. And then Austin Eckler, horrible injury. We'll definitely keep you guys updated on that. Tucker Kraft, star. Move on to that Rams-Titans game.
Rams and the Titans.
Yeah.
Looked close for a while there. Then in that fourth quarter, the Rams just kind of took over.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Matthew Stafford, a really big contributor, almost 300 yards, 2 scores, 23 for 33.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua got the party started with a 45-yard rushing touchdown, which I didn't know he had that in his bag, but he pulled it out on Sunday and it worked for them. So great for Puka. Puka also had 91 yards through the air, so he had himself a great game. Stafford really spread the love around.
Yeah, no, for sure. I 100% agree, especially with that Puka Nacua 45-yard touchdown. I think last week as well, he did extremely well. I think, on this Rams offense, he's showing a lot of versatility and big playability for the old head Matthew Stafford. As you said last week, I don't know if it was for him, but Unk still got it, right?
Unk still got it. I think 33 points. 1, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns made by 4 different players.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Puka Nacua on the ground. Matthew Stafford to the new tight end Davis Allen.
Yeah, Davis Allen
for a touchdown.
Yep.
Devontae Adams had a touchdown.
Yep.
Blake Corum had a touchdown. So just really spread the ball around. On the other side of the ball, I do want to say the best single play of the game and even maybe of the weekend was from Cam Ward with that unbelievable touchdown to Alec Aomenor.
Yep.
Just absolutely unbelievable work from Cam Ward. I saw somebody say that that Cam Ward touchdown was exactly what everybody thought Caleb Williams was going to do. And I would 100% agree. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, that definitely was a fantastic play. I think, it's kind of flashes in the pan with Cam Ward. Once again, it is his second, NFL game, week 2, starting quarterback, of course. 175 yards with 1 touchdown. I think if, the O-line can just keep him protected, give him a little bit of time, I think there are, some good targets for him to throw to. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely high on Cam Ward. Showed a lot of promise at the University of Miami last year. Even when he was at Wazoo, I think he was, just absolutely tearing apart college football. and that'll translate easily to the NFL. I think he's got the right mindset. Looks to be a great teammate. That's why they give him a captain in his rookie year. I think Alec Iomanor is going to be a great piece for him to utilize as a rookie. They're going to come up together and be great.
Yeah.
Just got to really bolster that offensive line and keep him protected for sure.
Yeah.
'Cause that's really where the problem's coming from. It looks like that they have, just a bunch of sacks.
Yeah. No,
in
he
both
was
games. 5 sacks this game. I want to say like 6 sacks, 5-6 sacks last game.
Yeah.
It's just not how you can protect your guy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, once again, he didn't throw any interceptions, but you're right, he was sacked 5 times. Like, he was pressured almost every single play by the Rams defense, which is very scary. If the O-line can just keep it up, he can find those targets. Calvin Ridley's Alec Iomanor, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, it sounds right.
If he can find his receivers, I think it's going to be great for the Titans. I think, hopefully a turnaround for the Titans. The last few years they haven't been the greatest, as we all know. But
Yeah, that's why they won the number 1 overall pick, but they're looking to turn that around. Moving on to the next one.
Yeah, moving on to the next one. We have
The
Seahawks
and the
Steelers. Yep, Seahawks Steelers. What do you think about this game overall?
Yeah, so we'll go over the picks in the next video or the one after this one, but I had the Steelers winning this one.
Mhm.
I was really impressed with how they played last week, but now I really kind of understand that they're not going to be that way every single week.
Right.
I don't know if that's the Jets' defense being bad last week or just the Steelers having a one-off.
Yep.
But they did not look as,
Dominant.
incredible as they did last week.
Mhm.
Aaron Rodgers, only 200 yards, 2 interceptions. DK Metcalf, 3 catches, 20 yards and a score. Like, they didn't play great. And their defense is not as good as I thought they would be either.
Mhm.
30 plus points through 2 games. That's something definitely to be concerned about going forward.
Yeah.
They just had Pittsburgh had way too many mistakes, including a special teams touchdown in favor of Seattle on a punt that, like, you can't give up a touchdown on a kick that you're receiving
Mhm.
and expect to win the game.
Yeah, I definitely think that special teams mistake definitely was the nail in the coffin for the Steelers. I think last week the shootout against the Jets was just the perfect storm of, both teams. I think the Jets defense just not doing that well. And as we know, with Justin Fields, what happened, I think I forgot to actually pull up an article on that, Justin Fields injury. But I think, that shootout, we probably aren't going to see it again, something like that from the Steelers. We thought, something was interesting, we were back, but Aaron Rodgers, 203 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions, that special teams touchdown, there were, once like you said, so many mistakes. What do you think about the Seahawks offense overall?
Yeah, on that other side of the ball, I think they really came out this week and looked great. Sam Darnold, 2 picks, almost 300 yards and 2 scores. I think that is, your standard Sam Darnold performance, especially looking at last year. JSN, another fantastic game, over 100 yards. Kenneth Walker, back to form with 100 yards and a touchdown. This is what I hope to see out of the Seahawks for the rest of the season. Obviously, they have what it takes to do it.
Right.
They have all the pieces. JSN is a true wide receiver 1. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet are a legit 1-2 punch there in the backfield, and Sam Darnold just needs to do what needs to be done. I think he can do that pretty efficiently almost every single time. We saw that last year when he had pieces around him, Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson. Like, he's able to find those targets and kind of do what needs to be done. He's like the top tier of game manager. And that's, with all-star casts like that, you really don't need someone that's going to take over a game at quarterback. You need a good defense, and then someone that can make the throws that are needed, because your pieces are going to get open, they're going to get yards, they're going to score. You just need someone to get them the ball.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the quarterback is like the most important piece of the puzzle there. There are, like you said, the pieces to pass to, and even, the running game. Kenneth Walker definitely had a better game this week than he had last week. JSN, of course, going 8 for 10, 103 yards. No touchdowns, though, but averaging 13 yards a pass. Also, I don't think he mentioned, but Cooper Kupp, 7 catches for 90 yards. He was definitely a reliable target for Sam Darnold to pass to. And I think overall, the Seahawks definitely deserved to win this game. Even without the special teams mistake, they were going to absolutely destroy the Steelers this game. So, it was definitely an interesting game to watch. I think on Red Zone, that special teams mistake was played like 1,000 times as, do not do this. I don't know who that guy was on special teams, but he's probably been watching film since that game ended. So, overall, a good game. Anything else you want to say about that? Chris Boswell going crazy.
Yeah, Boswell is just like an absolute serial killer. I think that's what Mike Tomlin calls him back there. Just goodness. in the face of any pressure, he's gonna get that done.
Yeah.
3 45-yard field.
Yeah.
3 field goals of 45 yards or longer.
Yeah.
How to help him secure that win.
Oh my goodness.
3 sacks on Seattle, 2 sacks on Pittsburgh. So definitely the front 4 was able to put some of that pressure on.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers kind of looked like what I thought he might look like this season in this game. So we'll see if the game against the Jets is reality, or if the Seahawks defense just shut him down too much, or if he is just pump fake the entire NFL week 1 and is just completely washed.
I think he's getting old. He's trying not to get hit a lot. I think in that Jets game, the Jets defense, they pressured him, but definitely not as much as the Seahawks defense. He was under pressure a lot. He didn't have a lot of time in the pocket to look for his targets. I think also the run game wasn't the greatest. 14 carries out of Jalen Warren for 48 yards is really, really bad. DK Metcalf, 3 receptions, 6 targets for 20 yards. He didn't have time.
I think they're going to want to target him a little bit more often if they want to find success.
100% agree. I think he's a great piece for the Steelers, and definitely piece they didn't utilize this game. Last week I also predicted that the Steelers were going to win. I think that Aaron Rodgers pump fake completely threw us all off the trail. But anything else you have to say about this game? I think overall, Chris Boswell is the MVP for the Steelers and JSN MVP for the Seahawks for sure.
That's all I have for this game. I'd like to really move on to the next one because I think there might be a little bit more to talk about. Looking at the Buffalo Bills beating down on the Jets by 20 points. Another big game for the Bills. I do want to apologize to the Bills and all the Bills fans for picking against them this week. Going forward, Jets? I picked the Jets.
Oh my goodness.
I was also pump fake last week by the unbelievable performance by Justin Fields. Obviously, not completely his fault as he only threw 11 passes because he did go out injured, I want to say, in the first half. But the Bills are just a different beast, I think. I don't necessarily want to say the Jets are frauds, but the Bills are an absolute weapon. Like, they are a wagon, different beast. 30 points. Obviously, some of their AFC counterparts put up more than that. But James Cook had himself an incredible day. Josh Allen didn't have to do too much because of that. Jets could not stop the run at all and couldn't get anything going offensively, which kind of sucks for me as a Jets hopeful and believer this week, and someone that had Justin Fields on their fantasy team, but that's the point. That's kind of all I have to touch on. James Cook, a wagon. Bills are a different monster. Don't want to write off the Jets yet, the Justin Fields injury makes it tough to look at them going forward. And I apologize for picking against the Bills in a game which, hindsight's 2020, but should have been an obvious pick.
Right. I think, I can definitely agree with that. I think last week I picked the Bills as winning. That game against the Ravens, it didn't matter how crazy that Jets-Steelers game was. The Bills were definitely winning this game. by a bajillion. Even do you remember when Justin Fields exited? I think he sustained a concussion, sadly. I don't know if it was early on or later on. I forgot, but
I do want to say it was in the first half. I
in the
couldn't tell you
first
exactly
half.
when.
Yeah, no, but definitely earlier on. James, like you said, James Cook being an absolute monster, 132 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. I think they're both rushing touchdowns. Breece Hall, not being utilized, but once again, I think the fact that Tyrod Taylor, could actually just get out there and, play the game, period, pass a singular touchdown is, you can't really knock him. I feel bad for him, even though, he is the backup quarterback, you had to go against the Bills in this situation. I don't think many people were really banking on the Jets to win that game. Overall, a stomp. What do you think? I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, there's... I talked this game up, but there really isn't too much to talk about. Kind of just your standard Bills rolling over the Jets, classic. Josh Allen, not doing too much, but if your team is going to be great, you can't rely on the quarterback to always throw 300-400 yards, 3 touchdowns. So it's good for them to have a guy like James Cook kind of lean on in situations like that when the run game's kind of popping off. You don't always have to rely on Josh Allen to pull some magic out of his hat. You have got James Cook, who's able to put up unbelievable numbers, score points, get in the open field, break tackles, stuff like that. Unfortunately, the Jets just did not have what it takes this week. Because of that injury. But before that injury, I think it would have ended the same way because of the fact that Justin Fields, I think, went 7 for 11 or 4 for 11.
Justin Fields, I think, yeah, you're correct, yeah.
Not having his best game. But we can move swiftly on past that one.
I just want to quickly say, Matt Prater, once again, another amazing game. Very consistent kicker, but we can move on with that. I'm excited to see how he develops. Lions-Bears. What
Lions-Bears
game. What a game.
Yeah, the Lions really showed, they heard all the noise about if the Lions were dead or if the Packers were just not good, and I'll be probably not the first to tell you, but the Lions are definitely not dead.
Yeah.
Definitely not dead. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3 touchdowns and over 100 yards. One of his best games in the NFL that he's had. Just absolutely was his day. Everything was going right. He was catching everything, getting in the end zone. Even when they were up like 42 to whatever.
Yeah.
He still got in the end zone, made it 52.
It's a nail in the coffin.
Absolute star.
Yeah. No, of course, absolute
Detroit
star.
Got right in a big way. They definitely got right in a big way.
They 100% agree. They definitely got right in a big way for 8 yards. That extra touchdown for Detroit. I think just Jared Goff, throwing 5 touchdowns, absolutely unbelievable. 334 yards for him. I think the run game is also amazing. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. The receiving game is great with Amon-Ra, like you said, one of his best games in the NFL. 9 for 11 targets, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think overall it was just an absolute stomp. I think, there were signs of life for the Bears with Rome Odunze. Definitely the MVP for the game. But, it's just not much you can do against such a dominant offense like the Lions. Last week, I think the Packers defense definitely contained them for a little bit, but that's something that the Bears do not have. And it's actually interesting to see how, the previous offensive coordinator for the Lions, now head coach for the Bears, plays against his old team. We could see the plays that they were running and stuff like that, but...
there's definitely some beef brewing between the two of them. Post-game presser, Ben Johnson referred to Jared Goff, who he should know very well after being his offensive coordinator, as their quarterback. And then I saw the final handshake when the game ended between MCDC and Ben Johnson. It did not look very friendly, and as a matter of fact, it looked very hostile.
Right.
So definitely something to keep note, as they will play each other again, as they're in the same division. But yeah, I don't know. Ben Johnson hasn't cut it so far. 2 losses in his first 2 games. Motor City Dan Campbell's got his guys back on track. Everything just seemed to be working. Jared Goff had 5 scores. Jahmyr Gibbs had almost 100 yards on the ground. Amon-Ra had 3 touchdowns, 4 sacks for Detroit, 1 and an interception as well. Like, everything was just going their way. And the Bears, just everything pretty much was not going their way. Because, except for Rome Odunze was able to kind of announce himself to the league once again. 128 yards and 2 scores. I think that's really just a sign of things to come for him. I really liked him coming out of college. And, just really showed everybody why they should have liked him coming out of college. He's going to be a star.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's going to be very, very good receiver for the Bears. 100% agree. I think this game just wasn't his time to shine. I think the Lions offense was just too dominant. And with that, I think we can move on. What do you think?
Yeah. So the next game is definitely the game of the week.
Yeah. Oh man, overtime.
The Giants and the Cowboys. I had in my notes, actually, the last note I have for this game is unreal win for New York Giants, because I was writing my notes as the game was happening, and they scored with like 6 seconds left on the clock or whatever, or 26 seconds left on the clock. So it's like, oh, it's got to be over. Like, I can't believe Russell Wilson has just done that. And then the defense just couldn't put one good drive together to waste 26 seconds. They go to overtime with Brandon Aubrey, 64-yard game-tying field goal.
Yep.
And then in the dying seconds of regulation, and then the dying seconds of overtime as well, Brandon Aubrey hits a 46-yard field goal to win the game. Thought we were gonna have our first tie. I'm a big tie guy in the NFL. It's very elusive that you get a tie. You usually get one a year. Didn't get one last year. I always root for the tie, because I think it's just super interesting. Russell Wilson, we saw, I think that was up there with some of the most yards he's thrown in his entire career.
It was,
getting back to even.
It was the highest amount of yards he's ever thrown in an NFL game for him. So
that's awesome, especially when everyone's kind of writing him off. He's on his 4th team. I think big game for him for his future.
Yeah, no,
his 450 yards, 3 scores, unbelievable.
I think this game, for people that aren't fans of either Dallas or the Giants, was a very interesting watch. I think if you're a fan of one of those teams, especially someone with a Saquon Barkley Giants jersey, you are angry, you are mad, and you're livid. Overall, I think Russell Wilson, hopefully it isn't another flash in the pan like Aaron Rodgers was week 1. I think there was an interception at pretty much the end of the game that pretty much just sealed the deal for the Cowboys with that final kick in the 4th. I think was it in overtime?
Yeah, I remember Russell Wilson was kind of pulled out his classic moon ball to try to hit Malik Neighbors. I don't think that was the wrong throw. I just think he didn't get enough on it.
Yeah, I think he cracked under pressure. I think that overtime was definitely. I think this game overall was definitely which team folds first, and it was the Giants in this case, going 0-2. Don't know if that's really deserved, honestly. I think Malik Neighbors is generational talent. I think Cam Scatterbo really got a touchdown this game, but definitely the lights are on Russell Wilson this game to see if he can do it again next week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they deserve to lose this game. I thought they played the right way to win it, but it's only a matter of time before everything comes together for them. They start stacking those wins up. I don't think the Giants season is over by any means. It's gonna be tough for them to make the playoffs, especially in the division that they're in. But I do see them getting maybe anywhere between 7 and 9 wins on the season, based off what I've seen.
Right.
Especially last week. The first week, not much to show for it, but last week they looked great. As you touched on before, I think Scat Pack has arrived. Cam Scatterbo got his first touchdown, made the most of his 11 carries. He looked really good. He's a big physical back. Someone I was with while watching the game said he was the biggest small guy in the league, and I think that's like the perfect way to kind of describe him. Wandale Robinson with a huge game this game.
Yeah.
Probably his best game in his career so far. He had what was it?
142.
42 yards with a score. That's unbelievable from a guy like that. Not as good as Malik Neighbors.
Mhm.
Russell Wilson really took it that Malik Neighbors is down there somewhere pretty seriously in a couple of those. What else?
I think
for this
Javonte
one?
Williams, had a decent game. 18 carries, 97 yards with a touchdown. George Pickens, 5 for 9, 68 yards, 1 touchdown. Not the greatest game. I think you're right with screw it. He's down there somewhere, especially with Malik Neighbors in the end zone twice. Russell Wilson got that arm on him, man. Like you said, Unk still got it. So
Yeah. Ugg still got it. He showed us this week for
Mhm.
sure.
For sure. I think he showed us. Brandon Aubrey, just also showing us just how absolutely dominant of a kicker he is. Absolute serial
He's
killer
a
number
game
2.
changer.
Yeah.
Absolute game changer.
Mm-hmm.
I think CeeDee Lamb also got his feet under him and his hands under the ball this week.
Yeah.
9 catches, 112 yards. And, did enough to get the win. No touchdowns, but did enough to help secure the win for the Cowboys. Kind of keeping their season alive. There's a statistic that not many teams that start 0-2 make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
it's good for the boys to get their win.
Yeah.
Tough loss for the Giants. I definitely thought they had it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you win some, you lose some. You got to play all 60 minutes, and they just elected not to play. They played 59 minutes and 40 or 34 seconds of unbelievable football and just let it fall apart at the end. And
Yep. Once
you
again,
just can't do that in the NFL.
Cracked under pressure first. I think that's that for that, and we can move on.
Yeah, so the next game, one of those blowouts that we were talking about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
the Browns went to play the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a clear gap in quality between both teams. I don't think that the Browns necessarily played a bad game. I just don't think the quality is there top to bottom that the Ravens have. Derrick Henry obviously didn't have a great game.
Oh man.
But Lamar Jackson did. The defense did. Roquan Smith with a defensive touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Walker, who's not a name that many people know, had 2 targets, caught both of them in the end zone for 26 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Zay Flowers had a big game. And they just did enough to score 41 points and hold the Browns to not 41 points.
Yeah. No, I can agree with you. I think the Ravens offense was, the opposite of what the Browns offense was. Like you said, Devontae Walker, definitely not a name that a lot of people know. 2 for 2 for 2 touchdowns. I bet the people in their, large fantasy leagues are probably on the waiver wire for this guy right now. Like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. Derrick Henry with a shockingly bad performance this week, especially after last week being, one of the most, if not the most dominant running back of the week. 11 carries, 23 yards. Not good at all. Quinshon Judkins actually made him look bad with 10 carries, 61 yards in comparison. But
yeah, a couple rookies making their debut there for Cleveland.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco came out of the game late, and Dylan Gabriel stepped in. Actually, the rookie got his first piece of NFL action. 3 for 3, 19 yards in the score. I know it's a small sample size, but I think that's really impressive. I think he's closer to being the Browns starting quarterback than Shador ever will be at this point. Dylan Gabriel is exactly what they need in that offense, just kind of being able to make those throws, get the timing down with the receivers, being able to, just really control the game.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've seen in the preseason versus, Shador, but that's a conversation that is, gone past. Neither are the starting quarterback. Good to see Dylan Gabriel get out there, make some plays, throw a touchdown. Quinshon Judkins had a good game on the ground as well. 10 carries, 61 yards, made the most out of his sample size as well.
Yep.
Dylan Sampson with a touchdown through the air, another rookie getting in the end zone. Cedric Tillman, another rookie getting in the end zone. Harold Fannin had the most catches on the team, another rookie getting involved. Like, this young Cleveland Browns team, if they just get some time under them and are able to, build that chemistry, learn a little bit, get some valuable experience, they're going to be good in the future, I think. But it's just, they're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
They're still a little too young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. I think they definitely need more experience, and that showed against, during this game. But then again, it is the Ravens. Such a dominant offensive force. It's kind of, difficult to try and outscore them, especially with that young team that you were mentioning. I think, in the fourth quarter, the Roquan Smith defensive fumble touchdown and the D-Hop passing touchdown. I think that D-Hop passing touchdown was pretty clean. If I'm remembering it correctly. Once again, 2 weeks in a row, extremely clean touchdowns for the Ravens to D-Hop. But other than that, yeah, I think it was just a dominant game. I think, I don't really have much to say about it.
3 total sacks for that defense. I think that's Cleveland's biggest asset is just that front 4 or even front 7 really with the linebackers. Devin Bush got back in there with a sack. Myles Garrett had a sack and a half, and Cameron Thomas had himself a sack. They got a couple TFLs as well. I know Mason Graham, the rookie, had a TFL, 3 tackles, 2 assists. So just really important for them to keep that defensive front as dominant as they can, because that could really win you games in the long run. So that's just really good to see that they have something that they can be proud about this game.
Yeah, no, 100%. Also, Nate Wiggins on the Ravens, I'm pretty sure, with that interception. Very good for the Ravens also. Special teams, pretty good. Converted 2 out of 2 field goals. Tyler Loop, is he a rookie?
Yes.
Yeah. So, definitely a lot of young talent in this game that we're looking out for. Definitely on the Browns for sure. We'll be talking about them next week. Anything else you have to say about this game?
No, I'd like to, move on from that one to the Niners and the Saints, which is a game that I kind of expected to be closer.
Yeah.
But realistically, two teams that aren't the best. Niners find themselves 2-0, miraculously, really. Mac Jones did what he needed to do. A lot of people talking about if Mac Jones is coming for Brock Purdy's job, and I think that's not totally out of the realm of possibility. If Brock Purdy strings together a couple bad games, but they just paid him way too much money to kind of take it from him outright. But Mac Jones, 279 yards, 3 scores, no interceptions. Really clean game from him. Good to see him get out on the field and be successful. Spencer Rattler didn't have the worst game ever either. 207 yards and 3 touchdowns. No interceptions, not really turning the ball over at all. Alvin Kamara got a lot of action, didn't get in the end zone, caught a costly fumble, which turned out to be the difference in the game. Juwan Jennings back to what he showed us last year with a big receiving game, getting in the end zone, 89 yards. Rashid Shaheed, number 1 receiver for New Orleans this game, a touchdown, 52 yards. So there's not too much to talk about between these 2 teams. I think the best team won, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think with Brock Purdy out, like we mentioned last week, and just all of, George Kittle as well, I think offensively the 49ers were still better than the Saints with those, big pieces out. CMC being limited this game compared to last week. I think he was the number 1 running back last week, so definitely being limited. 13 carries, 55 yards. Alvin
got it done through the air though. 6 pitches,
you're right.
52 and a score. Got it done through the air.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of exactly what we were talking about last week about CMC, is that you might not put all the numbers up on the ground, but he's so dangerous through the air as well.
No, for sure.
He can kind of help will them to victory whenever they need it, and it was on display this game.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think last week he had 9 catches through the air, so definitely, a scary force to be reckoned with. Like you said, Mac Jones, might not be going for Brock Purdy's job, but showing that he can do it. 279 yards, 3 touchdowns. I feel like a lot of people might have been thinking that this game would have been a lot lower scoring game, in my opinion. I think on the Saints side, Devon Bell with that touchdown. I'm pretty sure he was on the Broncos last season.
Yeah, 40.5 was the point total.
Oh, you're right. So 40.5 was
so
actually over.
Definitely outperformed that.
Yeah. No, for sure. I need to see what kind of stat book you're looking at. Looking at a different one. I'm just looking at the score and I'm using Sleeper. So yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Anything
other than that,
not really an interesting game. Kind of just back and forth.
Yeah.
49ers won, and that's that.
Touching back one more time on that quarterback situation in San Francisco, I've always kind of thought that it was the system for Brock Purdy, not necessarily Brock Purdy himself. And I hope that is not the case for his sake, but it kind of hard to deny it when Mac Jones put up almost 300 yards and 3 scores in that same system.
Yeah.
So, Kyle Shanahan might have the secrets, the quarterback secrets, and just the offense that they run is so quarterback friendly, which is why Brock Purdy was able to, make so much money, find so much success. But it could also be, a match made in heaven for Brock Purdy and the 49ers.
Yeah. No, we will definitely see how that goes for them. Moving on, next game, Patriots-Dolphins. Definitely, I feel like it was a closer game. This game was closer than I expected. I think last week you predicted that the Dolphins were going to win. I predicted that the Patriots were going to win. I think a better game overall for the Dolphins for sure. That Colts game was just an absolute massacre last week. What do you think?
Definitely a step in the right direction for Miami. Very winnable game. This was the one I focused on Sunday to watch.
Yep. And
I definitely thought Miami did what they needed to do to win. It was just a couple costly mistakes that were very, ended up costing them the game. I don't think Tua played too terrible necessarily. 315 yards and 2 scores, but that doesn't. I still don't think he's the guy in Miami. A-Chain didn't get much done on the ground. Waddle did a lot through the air. Tyreek did a lot through the air. It was really the defense and special teams that wasn't, that ended up being costly for them. Giving up a kick return touchdown just after Miami just had a punt return touchdown.
Yep. And then I think directly after that, Tua threw an interception. So
yeah, Tyreek had over 100 yards through the air. The punt return, the defense just couldn't stop New England at all. I think they didn't get a 3 and out for the first quarter and a half to 2 quarters, which as a team trying to win a game like that, you can't afford to do that against a team like New England, who are a very beatable team. And Tua did throw that interception, which ended up being costly. In my opinion, was the difference in the game because of that. Because both teams got that special teams touchdown. Both teams did a lot on offense. Just that interception was very costly at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think overall this game should have been the one that, the Dolphins won. But in the end, I think, they just didn't have it in them. I think, A-Chain with, 11 carries, 30 yards, not the greatest. Jalen Waddle, I think, like you said, Tyreek Hill over 100 yards, just showcasing his, deep threat ability. On the field.
He's still got something in there.
He's still got something in there. I think he just needs to contain himself. I think he's, too emotional. I think multiple times throughout the game, you could see the camera panning to him on the sideline, arguing with the coach, arguing with his teammates and stuff like that. So, I think, if he keeps it contained, understands what his role is, and, doesn't ask for too much, He could be a good piece for the Dolphins offense, which, that's what they're expecting, with him. I think, he has, history of being a good player, and I think if he, can control himself, then, we got something good going on. But overall,
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes on this game now, and it looks like I was very upset when writing these notes because I thought Miami were going to win the game. I have Dolphins are the worst in the league. It might be time to look into blowing it up. Tua is buns. McDaniel is buns. But a couple days to calm down. I can see that the Dolphins didn't necessarily play bad, but I do agree that it might be time to look into blowing it up and kind of starting fresh with the coach, quarterback, receivers, stuff like that. What's really exciting is the first kick return and punt return. I think off camera, I asked you when you think the first kick return is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it was going to be like midway through the season.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And then you asked me, and I said it was going to be next week against two bad teams in the 1 o'clock slate.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. Two bad teams in the 1 o'clock slate has a kick return and a punt return touchdown. So that was pretty exciting for me and for everybody else. I love a good kick return. I know everybody else loves a good kick return.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty important stuff. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. Some exciting stuff. We definitely will be talking about the Dolphins next week. With their week 3 predictions and stuff like that. But overall, Patriots were able to squeak out the win. I think that's all I have to say about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely a little bit nicer on the Dolphins than I thought I would be.
Mm-hmm.
But they still are the worst team in the league.
For sure.
It might be time to usher in a new era.
Mm-hmm. Can agree. Okay. Moving on. We have the Jaguars versus the Bengals. Definitely a closer game than I was expecting, but then again, Joe Burrow with his injury, I think toe ligament injury in the first quarter. It was early on. It was in the first half at least. I think overall, Jake Browning, 21 for 32, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. Definitely, not the craziest game for him, but then again, he's a backup quarterback. I think Jamar Chase had an absolutely fantastic game, 165 yards for 14 receptions and a whole touchdown. I think, week 1, nobody was, down and out at Jamar Chase. There's no way. He's super high. He's a super high pick fantasy-wise. I think it just needed, to take some time for him to get online. It sucks that the quarterback is going to be out for, at least minimum a week.
3 months.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. So 3 months. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know that they put him in the IR, so I knew it was going to be a long time. But 3 entire months with Jake Browning quarterback. I think that Jamar Chase is just like a generational talent. He's kind of like CD Lamb last season when Dak Prescott got injured. And I think Cooper Rush was the quarterback. I remember I traded away CD Lamb because I was like, this Cooper Rush guy's ass, and CD Lamb's never going to touch the ball because he can't throw to him. And I was gravely freaking mistaken. All right. I think, Jake Browning, if he can find his targets, and his T. Higgins, his Jamar Chases, the Bengals, still can't do good. And, even though it was a close game against the Jaguars, they still were able to, come out with a win.
It's unbelievable to me that they were able to come out with the win there, because I think the Jags might be legit.
Mm-hmm.
I think they played very well. Trevor Lawrence maybe needs to cut down on the interceptions. 2 in this game, kind of costly.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 touchdowns, which is big. Their wide receivers there in Jacksonville need to learn how to catch the ball. And Brian Robinson Jr. or Brian Thomas Jr. is having a tough time catching the ball. Travis Hunter's having a tough time catching the ball. They had to lean on De'Ami Brown this game to kind of put in the hard work there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you said, Joe Burrow goes down. Jake Browning comes in for the next 3 months of the season. Hopefully he can settle in there and make use of his targets. The offensive line has not done Joe Burrow any favors, and that is, execution on that front, which sucks because I think Joe Burrow is a generational talent at quarterback, kind of in the same vein as Andrew Luck, who ended up retiring early because he kept taking those hits. And I hope that the Bengals can figure it out for Joe Burrow's sake, because I'd hate to see a guy like that retire early again.
Yeah.
The Bengals defense actually was able to, see the game out, which is really, really huge, because if they can play their part wherever they can, everybody said the Bengals defense is gonna be the worst in the league. Like, they're not gonna be good at all. And if they could just, do their part, that's all the Bengals could ask for, especially with all the money they have on the offensive side of the ball. They're gonna score points no matter who the quarterback is, because of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that Bengals defense is such a, important piece to the puzzle. Defense, extremely important. I think just in this game specifically. I'm hoping that line, that offensive line can protect the quarterback. That's like the main, issue with the Bengals, as shown in this game with Joe Burrow, sadly. But we're definitely going to see how Jake Browning performs on the Bengals in the future. Now that we know that Joe Burrow's out for 3 months, I think Trevor Lawrence, could cut down on the interceptions, as we were saying, but I think there was also a little spat with the coach, mid-game. I think his emotions at the time were just getting to him, but De'Ami Brown on the Jags, 5 for 7, 57 yards and a touchdown. Not too bad. Cam Little hitting his field goal attempts. Bashal Tutin, is that how you say his name? Bashal?
That sounds Bashal Tutton.
Bashal
maybe?
Tutton, yeah. Touchdown for him. I think he did good this game, but other than that, not really much to say. Jamar Chase back in action, even though the quarterback is gone. Hopefully we will be seeing him. Such a generational talent on that team. Hopefully he doesn't go to waste this season. What do you think?
Yeah. Like what you said about Jamar Chase. Mr. Triple Crown is back this week. 165 yards, a touchdown, 14 catches. That's pretty phenomenal stuff from him. Someone needs to pay Trey Hendrickson next offseason. Signed a 1-year deal for $25 million this year just to play. Had a long holdout with the Bengals because he didn't get paid what he thought he deserved.
Right.
But someone's gonna pay him in the offseason. Had a sack this game. It's just an absolute game wrecker. Other than that, that's all I really have to say about this game specifically.
Yeah.
Bengals did just enough to win that game. That's all you can really ask for.
That's all you can really ask for. All right. Moving on. Panthers Cardinals, 27-22. I'm very surprised at how close this game was. A one-possession game for the Cardinals, especially against the Panthers, and especially the Panthers with Bryce Young specifically. I think overall the Cardinals offense could have been better. I don't think this game should have been this close. The odds were for Arizona to win by, I think it's a 6.5 here with a 45.5.
Yeah, they were favored by 6. Arizona favored by 6.5. They obviously didn't cover, winning by 5. Looked like they were going to for a large amount of that game up until the fourth quarter. I think it was 27-9 going into the fourth quarter, and then Bryce Young was just able to put something together, try and will them back into the game and kind of get that win. Touchdown pass to Chuba Hubbard, Hunter Renfrow in that fourth quarter looked like they were maybe going to be able to pull something out. I thought Bryce Young personally had a great game. 328 yards, 3 scores, and a touchdown. I think that's a great game for Bryce Young.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people aren't Bryce Young fans specifically, but you got to give credit where credit is due. He had a really good game. I thought he could have had a better game as well. Just a couple things not going his way. Hunter Renfrow as reliable as ever in that game. Tedero McMillan, 100-yard game, first of his career, announcing himself to the league. But Kyler Murray just able to do enough to win the game. and the Cards capitalize on the mistakes that Carolina made.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know there was also a receiver on the Panthers that didn't really show up. I think Xavier Legette. He got one of his 8 targets for a -2 yard reception. So I don't know if that was on the receiver. I don't know if that was on Bryce Young. But overall, I think both of them could have had a better performance this game. Especially Bryce Young. Only showing up in the fourth quarter just to make the scoreline look better. Like you said, it was 27-9, and then in the fourth quarter, looks like Chuba Hubbard and Hunter Renfrow got their passing touchdowns. Other than that, I think, overall scrappy game. Not really a scrappy game. I think Cardinals were supposed to win that, but overall...
Yeah, a lot of fight in Carolina to try and get back into that game.
No, for sure. 100%. I don't really have that much to say about this game. Other than that, I think we can move on.
Yeah. Do want to touch on what you said about Xavier Legette? Always an interesting pick to me when he was coming out. Just doesn't really look like he has what it takes to be that guy for Carolina. But I think other than that, they got some pretty good pieces to kind of rely on. Ted McMillan, Jatavion Sanders, Hunter Renfrow, Chuba Hubbard, all great. Pieces for Bryce Young to kind of have there, and it showed in this game.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So now we can move on to the next one.
We have Broncos Colts, a close game, 29-28. What do you think?
Oh man, Indianapolis are the real deal,
dude.
I think Daniel Jones, through 2 weeks, if he keeps it up, could win the MVP. I think Jonathan Taylor flashed back to his 2018 season with 165 total yards, or yards on the ground, rather. I think the one Cam Bynum interception was the difference in the game. Tyler Warren looked great, 4 catches, 79 yards. USF legend Spencer Schrader getting out there and winning the game. That's what I like to see.
Yeah.
Well, what about you? What do you like to see from this game?
I love how the Colts are performing. Like you said, Daniel Jones looking for that MVP. If he can just keep up the pace he's going these past 2 weeks, he's going to be an absolute monster this season, especially for the Colts. Jonathan Taylor as well, 25 carries, 165 yards, absolute dominant performance. And like you said, USF legend Spencer Schrader putting the work in. Absolute beautiful performance. I think he had 5 field goals made this game, which is unbelievable. I think only second this week to maybe Brandon Aubrey. I think he might have, outperformed him in that Giants Cowboys game. But overall, I think it was a close game on the Broncos offensive side. Bo Nix, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, through that interception. J.K. Dobbins, definitely more to be desired from him, especially with Jonathan Taylor doubling his rushing yards this game. And Troy Franklin not doing that bad. 8 receptions, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Overall, Colts were able to squeak out this win with that Spencer Schrader field goal at the end. What do you think?
Yeah, a lot of talk coming out about Charlie Gordon, the owner. She's kind of going viral right now for being on the sideline of every game, and I think that is such a boss move. A lot of people saying that's weird. She's too hands-on. A lot of people really loving it. I'm one of those people that really loves it. I think Charlie Gordon is the girl boss of the NFL. Has an earpiece in to hear what plays are being called, just kind of take everything in. So when it comes to having to move on in the future, when she, still in control, it's her team. At the end of the day, she can do whatever she wants, and she's gonna have to hire a new coach at some point. So she's, on the field, boots on the ground, kind of learning what it is she wants to find success, what she has from the coach, and I think it's really cool that she's able to kind of, be present. I think it's awesome when, a boss, let alone the owner of the team, or is, contributing to the success of the team. I think it's really cool. It makes me as an employee feel good when my boss is doing the same work I'm doing. it means that they really care. So it's really cool to see Charlie Ursay-Gordon down there on the sideline for Indianapolis. Looks like all the players love it. That players respect her down there. The coaches respect her down there. I think it's really awesome. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I can 100% agree with you. Like you were saying, people have mixed opinions on it, but I can agree with your opinion that, if you see your boss, doing the same work as you, even though, they're your boss, it's, humanizing to see, her on the sideline. Girl boss of the week for sure. And hopefully, getting that morale up for the team. I think, that was probably her intention and probably worked. So other than that, I don't really have much to say. I think
I think this was definitely one of the best games of the week, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
I know the Colts played the Dolphins last week, so it's kind of hard to say that they're legit because everyone's going to look against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But they played a really good Broncos team that showed up last week, so I think it's fair to say that they're leaning towards that legit status. Daniel Jones over 300 yards again.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, huge contributor, not only on the ground, but also through the air. Had a receiving touchdown as well as 165 yards on the ground, so definitely would love to get him back to speed that we saw him once be at a number of years ago. But yeah, I think
I think
a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, no, for sure. I can agree with you. I think we can move on. I think the Broncos defense just couldn't contain Daniel Jones, which is interesting because
they're calling him Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. I like it, man. I'm a fan.
A lot of good vibes in Indianapolis. Cam Bynum, electric with the interceptions. Back-to-back weeks with with an interception and an absolutely electric celebration to follow it. So love the vibes coming out of Indianapolis, and I want to see them continue to be great going forward.
Oh, for sure.
The Super Bowl rematch of the last year. The Eagles played the Chiefs in Kansas City, Missouri, Arrowhead Stadium, and the Eagles came out victorious once again. A lot of drama surrounding this game.
A lot
specifically.
of drama.
Hurts. I know a lot of people are talking about Hurts being, top 5 quarterback in the league, especially after the Super Bowl. But is that really the case? I mean, through 2 games, he's got 253 total passing yards and 0 touchdowns in both games. I think for him to be an elite quarterback, he's gonna have to do a lot more than that.
Yeah.
He gets it done for the Eagles. He's kind of exactly what the Eagles are looking for. Fits the system, able to run, does what he needs to do, can deliver a ball when he needs to. But he's not an elite quarterback like the likes of Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. He's kind of just a game manager. He's not going to take a game over. He's an elite game manager. Don't get me wrong. Won a Super Bowl for sure. But, under 200 yards in both games, barely scraping 100 yards in this last one, 0 total touchdowns. He's not turning the ball over or anything, which, that's how you win games. Is if you score points, you don't turn the ball over. But, you kind of got to, as a quarterback, you kind of got to, be the guy. If you want to be an elite quarterback, you kind of be the guy. He's got elite pieces around him. 2 great receivers, a really good tight end, great offensive line, great running back, and a really stingy defense. But he's really just like an afterthought in most of those spots because he doesn't, have those stats. They kind of lean on the running game and the defense and their special tush push, which is what has been garnering all the drama from this game. A lot of people calling for it to be banned again.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The tush push, it came out maybe 2 or 3 times this game, and we're talking about Jalen Hurts. Only 101 passing yards this game. No touchdowns, but he didn't throw any interceptions. If we're talking about him, they beat the Chiefs. What can we really say about the Chiefs? Patrick Mahomes, threw an interception. Kareem Hunt, 8 carries for 31 yards is pathetic. Saquon Barkley also had 22 carries for 88 yards. I think the difference in, carries between the running back ones just, puts on display how how important the run game is, not only for the Eagles, but just in general. I think Saquon Barkley, of course, in a league of his own, in a league with your Derrick Henrys, your, other elite running backs.
Your Bijan Robinsons.
Your Bijan Robinsons,
like
exactly. Yep.
But yeah. I think that, the Eagles situation is very similar to the Packers situation in my eyes, where they have a truly elite defense, and their offense just has to do enough to win the game, right?
Yeah.
And the opposite of the Packers, they kind of rely on that run game, whereas the Packers kind of rely on that passing game to get those points and get that job done, to do enough to win the game. You see Jordan Love on Thursday night, he had 292 yards and 2 scores. In the game before, when they played the Lions, Jordan Love had 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, he
was slanging.
Got that. He's got the volume. He's got the numbers to kind of score those points, and what you look for in a quarterback like that, to kind of do enough to win those games. Whereas the the Eagles are kind of win the game in a different phase, that running game where they get it done on the ground, they do the dirt. It's not a sexy offense, is kind of what I'm trying to say, to back up that elite defense like the Packers try to do, have that elite pass or that sexy passing offense to get those points, do enough to win the game, because the defense are gonna smother other teams, kind of make it hard for them to score points. Saquon Barkley, 60 yards and a touchdown in week number 1, 88 yards in week 2. That tush push. I've seen a lot of clips where people are saying that all 5 offensive linemen are in illegal positions and they're going early. Like, it's got to be banned because it's against the rules and you're just ignoring it. And I get that and I see that. I can't help but agree, seeing these guys just completely break the rules. But at the end of the day, like, if it's not banned, you kind of got to stop it.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100% agree with that. 2017, shout out the Chiefs. I honestly think that this game wasn't, as a not really a big fan of the Eagles nor the Chiefs. Just watching this game, it wasn't really the most interesting, honestly. There were definitely more interesting games this week. This is probably not that far up there for me. Jake Elliott, is it Jacob or Jake?
Jake Elliott, yeah.
Jake Elliott, 2 field goals, pretty good. It's getting it done. Once again, Jalen Hurts, I think, throughout the season, we're going to see how they fare against, not only their, division, but, just the rest of the league. I think they're going to do well, of course, Super Bowl champions. Shout out the Chiefs. Anything else you have to say?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs, a lot of Chiefs fans, you're starting 0-2. I said this before earlier in the video, that it's tough for teams to make the playoffs after starting 0-2, but the Chiefs have surprised us before. I don't think it's time to go into panic mode necessarily, but it's maybe time to start kind of thinking of ways to improve mid-season, because just things that never happen to the Chiefs are starting to happen to the Chiefs. Like, Travis Kelce's dropping crucial balls. They got a little bit of a turnover bug causing interceptions. Fumbles. I know Kareem had a fumble. He didn't lose it though. But he still put the ball on the ground, which is something that the Chiefs rarely have ever done. Mahomes is taking sacks. And he's kind of trying to do everything himself. He had a rushing touchdown, I know, in this game. Travis Kelce. A lot of Chiefs fans are mad at Travis Kelce for throwing the game with that interception in the red zone, kind of giving the ball up after he had it caught when they were driving to score a late touchdown. And that, just stuff that the Chiefs have never done. I think the way for them to get out of this, though, is maybe look for outside receiver help, kind of bring someone else in, since they're down both of their number 1 guy and their number 2 guy. I noticed that, their defense is no longer the crutch. The past 2 years, I think, or early in Mahomes' career, he was kind of this phenom, this all-star, this alien almost quarterback, but he's been a little bit more pedestrian the past couple of years, and that defense is kind of what's carried them through the regular season and got them to the Super Bowl, as they were that elite defense they were kind of in the Packers' shoes. But they had that elite defense. Patrick Mahomes was doing enough to score the points to win the games. It wasn't always wasn't always a pretty win, but the defense kind of looks like it has taken a step back, especially in week number 1, where they gave up 27 points. They gave up 20 points this week. I know it's not a lot, 27 points, 20 points, but they're used to giving up less than that.
Yeah.
On defense and being able to put enough points up to win the games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is definitely something to kind of look forward at for the rest of the year.
Exactly. No, for sure. Like, they should not be, giving up this amount of points, looking historically at how many they usually give up. So it isn't only the offense, that needs improvement, of course. Like you said, two crucial pieces of the offense out. We all know, Xavier Worthy and what happened there, but just also the defense giving up so much. But, what can you do against the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say the defense necessarily played bad this game. Kind of looking more toward last game where they gave up almost 30 points.
Yeah.
20 points your offense should do enough to score more than that. Mm-hmm. Especially if you have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid's your coach. Like, you should be able to score more than that, which is kind of the main cause of concern from this game. Like, the defense did enough to only have the Super Bowl champion Eagles hold them to 20 points. So that, like, I wouldn't say this game is necessarily the defense. I think a costly interception and a drop from Travis Kelce is the reason that they lost this game against a really good team.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown only had 5 catches for 27 yards, and Devontae Smith 4 catches for 53 yards, holding Saquon Barkley to only 4 yards a carry. So I definitely think the defense did enough. It's just the offense this game didn't do enough. But looking to last week, the defense didn't do enough. The offense looked like they were in prime position to beat Justin Herbert and the Chiefs or the Chargers again. They just couldn't get it done. So it's the Chiefs are playing Chiefs ball. It's just certain things that would go their way in previous years aren't going their way this year. So they kind of got to find a way to get around that to find success this season.
Yeah, no,
and their chances are dwindling to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Good matchup, favorable matchup for them next week. We'll touch on that a little bit in a different video.
Yeah, of course.
But definitely might be time to kind of look at sounding the alarms for Chiefs fans.
Hold on, can we pause real quick? I'm sorry, miss it.
Yeah.
There we go. Did we have anything else to talk about with this game? What do you think?
Not the Eagles and the Chiefs. I think pretty much touched on every note that I had.
Yeah, for sure.
Time to maybe look at sounding the alarms for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles defense is elite. The offense kind of needs to get into gears. They got a tough couple games coming up on their schedule.
Yeah.
But we can move on to that Sunday night game between the national championship rematch between Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, J.J. McCarthy.
Which ended up being 22-6.
Mm-hmm.
J.J. McCarthy obviously out injured. Aaron Jones obviously out injured. So tough game for them physically.
Mm-hmm.
Also in the game, they couldn't really find their footing. J.J. McCarthy did not look very good.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, on the other hand, Bijan Robinson looks like an absolute game winner.
Yeah,
someone in that Christian McCaffrey vein that can run the ball, he can catch the ball, he can make guys miss, he can break tackles. Like, he's gonna be able to get a high volume of touches, whether that's through the air or on the ground, and make good use of those. He's a tough guy to get on the ground. He's gonna get points on the board.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think Bijan is in contention for the best running back in the league. For sure, hands down, not even close. Especially when J.J. McCarthy went out in the first half with that injury.
I think he played the whole game, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, did he? Really?
Yeah.
So he played the whole game, and then afterwards, he had an ankle sprain, it looks like, according to this article I have up right now.
Yeah.
Which, I think it's Carson Wentz as the backup quarterback. So we'll definitely see how he plays on that team. But yeah, I think, overall, with the running game specifically, I know the running back 1 is currently injured, and Aaron Jones on the Vikings, so that also isn't helping their case offensively. I think overall, defense, they let up way too many points against the Falcons. Offense, couldn't score points against the Falcons defense. And yeah, Bijan's a monster.
Yeah, it looked
Michael
like
Penix in the air, really good.
It looked like in that game, the Falcons really just thrived on those turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, JJ McCarthy, 2 picks, no touchdowns, didn't look as good and didn't have that week 1 magic that he had when he played the Bears on, I believe it was Monday night.
Yeah.
So the Falcons just took their opportunities and, made great work of that short field. Michael Penix, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, just was careful with the ball, loves to throw that outside ball near the sideline, out routes, long developing in routes, stuff like that. Curls, loves those kind of plays, kind of finds the sideline. 135 yards for him. It was mainly the Bijan Robinson show, having 143 yards on the ground, kind of getting them in some good positions, and Tyler Algier was finishing off those runs with a touchdown on the ground as well. I know Drake London turned the ball over. The Vikings couldn't make anything of that. Not much going for them in the air is kind of my bottom line for the Falcons there. New kicker they brought in to kind of compete with Younghoe Koo. Made the most of his opportunities, and it's kind of hard to see them going back to Koo there after Parker Romo comes in, knocks down 5 field goals perfectly and an extra point, longest from 54 yards. Like, he absolutely made the most of his opportunity there with Atlanta, beating out Younghoe Koo. And like I said before, just made the most out of opportunities from 2 rookies showing up in a big way. The safety, Xavier Watts, had an interception, and Billy Bowman, the rookie cornerback, had a really great interception on the sideline, really acrobatic one, stealing it right out of the hands of the receiver there. I thought it was awesome.
That was great.
And that's kind of what they drafted for, right? They drafted 2 outside linebackers to kind of get the job done, put more pressure on the quarterback, which is what they did, and then young defensive backs to kind of be sticky on their receivers and kind of make plays on the ball, and it was on display. So I think that Falcons' overall defense really impressed again. The new kicker did exactly what he was supposed to and seized his opportunity there for Atlanta. Minnesota's in the middle of an injury crisis you touched on. Carson Wentz having to come in for JJ McCarthy next week. Obviously, Carson Wentz, a veteran kind of journeyman in the league, had that one MVP type year when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And Bijan Robinson's just that guy for Atlanta, that guy they can lean on when they need him.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, and especially going back to the kicker room with the Falcons after the Younghoe Koo, missing the tying field goal week 1, they definitely, looked at Romo this week, and he delivered. So I don't know if this is, alarm bells for Younghoe Koo, him losing his spot as, the starting kicker, but he definitely, like you said, made the most of his opportunity. And for the Falcons, injuries left and right. JJ McCarthy,
Vikings.
Excuse me, Vikings. JJ McCarthy, Aaron Jones, offensively, definitely not looking well for them. They still have, generational talent, Justin Jefferson, on their team though, so we will see. And it looks like Kyle Pitts as well. It looks like he had the most receiving yards on the Falcons with 4 receptions.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it last week. It might be Kyle Pitts' year. I know in the offseason, Michael Penix went on and said, we got to get our guy get our guy Kyle Pitts the ball more, and they have been doing it to start the year. Not really the highest volume in terms of yards per catch, but that as soon as he starts getting comfortable in the offense again, he's been impressive running routes, been able to catch the ball. So his time is to come as the Falcons offense kind of settles in throughout the year. But the name of the game for me was the Falcons defense. They kind of went above and beyond. Yeah,
no, for sure. 100% agree. Absolutely. Capitalized on, Jordan Mason, great running back altogether, but definitely capitalized on Aaron Jones not playing this game and absolutely locked out the Vikings offense, especially with dangerous threat of Justin Jefferson. Falcons defense did good. I don't really have much else to say about that game.
wrap up our Sunday slate of games as we move into the Monday night games.
Yeah. I heard you had a lot to talk about the Bucks.
Tampa and Houston. As a Tampa Bay native fan, I have a lot to say about the Bucks. Bucks come away with a big win on primetime, breaking their streak of losses on primetime. And I think, a primetime win like that, it does wonders for the team and Baker Mayfield specifically. We'll touch on Baker Mayfield here in a second. I got a lot to say about him. But they made a lot of injuries on the offensive line even after the game. Tristan Wirfs, the starting left tackle, the All-Pro left tackle, first guy in NFL history to win All-Pro at left tackle and right tackle. So definitely a massive miss to start the year. But they did well in week number 1 against the Falcons, whose defense is really, really big, as we touched on the last one. But this week, the next injury was Luke Gedeke, the right tackle. So they were without both starting tackles. They had to move second-year guy Graham Barton out to left tackle, who didn't fare the greatest against Daniil Hunter, who, monster year last year, but Baker Mayfield was able to get it done, do exactly what was necessary. I saw a stat that he lost over a second of time to throw the ball once Gedeke went out, so that makeshift offensive line did a great job dealing with that high-powered defensive front of Houston. Emeka Egbuka getting back in the end zone. He's on track to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. 3 touchdowns through 2 games is absolutely incredible. Had to down game the rest of the game. Wasn't able to get his hands on the ball. Looked a little bit shaken up throughout the game, but was able to get out there and do what was necessary for the team. And like I said before, that's kind of his MO. He's a big team guy. So that is awesome. Mike Evans working against Derek Stingley had some good numbers. Derek Stingley being one of the best corners in the league, so it's good to see Mike Evans kind of win some of those reps, get a lot of yards. Didn't quite get in the end zone yet this season, but his time's coming. You can see that. Bucky Irving, a massive game, kind of took a backseat with Rashad White having the hot hand, scoring the game-winning touchdown, doing a lot in pass pro, doing a lot on the ground. It's good to see him getting a lot of work. But yeah, the Bucs get a gutsy last-minute win within the 2 minutes, and that's purely because of the guy, Baker Mayfield. Now I want to call an ISO specifically on Baker Mayfield. There's not a single quarterback in the league that I want within 2 minutes to lead my team down to win the game other than Baker Mayfield. Obviously, has had a tough start to his career, but found a home. I know Joel Glazer has come out and he said that Baker Mayfield is the guy. He is the franchise. It runs through him. Jason Light absolutely loves him. He's the GM. Todd Bowles loves him. His teammates love him. It's good to see that he's found himself a home. Since joining the Bucs, Baker Mayfield has the most passing touchdowns than any other quarterback in the league. That is true. I live by Baker Mayfield. I die by Baker Mayfield. He's run out of Cleveland for no reason. Was doing scout team reps on the defensive line for the Carolina Panthers before going to LA. Had 2 days notice. Came into the game with, again, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, led a 98-yard game-winning drive. Came to Tampa on the next year on a 1-year prove-it deal and has not looked back since. He's definitely found a home. If aliens were to come tomorrow and say, I have to build a team of players to score a touchdown in 2 minutes or else the earth gets blown up, Baker Mayfield's my first choice of quarterback. He's that dangerous within 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, that 2-minute drill last night against Houston was it last night? I'm sorry.
Monday night,
that 2-minute drill was disgusting against Houston. I can 100% agree with you. If aliens came and they said, pick a team, I think Baker Mayfield with that 2-minute drill against Houston is definitely contender at least. Emeka Egbuka, as you said, rookie of the year, 3rd touchdown in 2 weeks is absolutely disgusting. Bucky Irving had that great game. And overall, I think the Bucs 100% deserve this win. I think they, played it well. It was a great game overall. Moving on to the Texans. I think CJ Stroud had a better game this week than he had last week. Nick Chubb, 12 carries, 43 yards and a touchdown, not horrible. People are, seeing Nico Collins. He actually got online this week, unlike last week. 3 receptions, 9 targets, 52 yards and 1 touchdown. Surprisingly more online than what he was last week. He was like a dead fish last week. Kevin Fairbairn, also the kicker, did really well. Overall, Bucs 100% deserve this win. That 2-minute drill at the end with that Rashad White touchdown was absolutely some beautiful work by Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask more from your guys in the final 2 minutes. Actually, I see a lot of talk, and I subscribe to the theory that last Nick Chubb touchdown was what they call a no moss call from Todd Bowles. And what the no moss call is, they let Nick Chubb get in the end zone there to kind of preserve time on the clock because they just knew Baker Mayfield has the ball. There was too much time left on the clock for him to for him to go down there and get it done. 4th down and 10, you saw that run, breaks out of a sack, gets it going. Looks like his knee absolutely like blew up on that play, but wasn't going to take shit from CJ Gardner-Johnson there. Gets up, gets in his face, and gets back going. Shuts him up by scoring a touchdown late. Bucky Irving with a incredible run after catch on an improvised play, broken play. Baker Mayfield gets out of the pocket, finds his guy. Like, he's just all grit, and he's good for the game. How could you not like Baker Mayfield? I think he's definitely deserves to be in MVP talks this season through 2 games. If he, shows up for the rest of the year, definitely can see him. As for Nico Collins, I know you touched on Nico Collins kind of being absent through 2 weeks almost. Get a really great long touchdown catch in the back of the end zone to start the game. But, after the first quarter, didn't really get much shine, and that's not what you want if you're the Houston Texans. Like, he's a great game-breaking guy. We saw that a lot last year. But I think the biggest issue is just CJ Stroud doesn't get enough time back there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think
when
the pocket collapses before, he has time, unlike, some other lines that we see. He definitely doesn't have enough time to throw. I think it isn't only CJ Stroud's fault. I also think Nico Collins just this season so far, even though it has only been 2 games, just hasn't really been, showing up and showing out. That one first quarter 29-yard reception touchdown was, flash in the pan so far, but we're turning the key to the ignition. The car's not starting right now, so definitely better than last week. Definitely, a couple sputters here and there, but we'll be definitely looking for more action on the Texans side. Do you have anything to say about the Texans defense, the Buccaneers? I know you touched on it earlier.
I think the Texans defensive line is legit with Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, even Sheldon Rankins down there. They just really need to start putting it together before they get too far behind. I've brought this up on multiple occasions when talking about the Chiefs, but it's tough for a team to make the playoffs after going 0-2, and this Texans team had a lot of promise coming into the year, and I hope they can put it together because I think it was fun watching CJ Stroud in his rookie year put it together. But wide receiver core's riddled with injuries once again. Tank Dell's out, Christian Kirk's out, so I just really hope that they can figure it out. D'Amico Ryans can figure it out, and they can kind of get out of the hole that they dug themselves in. As for the Bucs, they deserve to be 0-2. They started 0-2 for the 5th straight year and have the opportunity next week to go 3-0 for the first time in a really long time. So let's hope they can put that together as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. 100% agree. We'll be talking about the Bucs matchup in a separate video, but other than that, I think the Bucs 2-minute drill at the end fully deserved the win. And I'm ready to move on. What do you think?
Yeah, we can go to the last game of the week, that second Monday night playoff or second Monday night football game between the Chargers and the Raiders. First off, I want to say I'm a big football guy. I've always been a big football guy, but I think after week 1, there's no need for 2 Monday night games. I think that is absolute nonsense to have, 2 Monday night games. Monday night tradition, you get home from a long day of work, throw the game on, while you're cooking dinner, while you're eating, you kind of get into it. You wrap up your fantasy football week. A nice 3-4 hours of good stress watching that game. You get your fill, and then, by the time it's over, it's about 10, 11 o'clock. You wind down, watch a couple episodes of the show you're watching, get some dessert with the family, and then you go to bed. 2 Monday Night Football games, you're up until 1:30 in the morning. It's just absolute nonsense. Big football guy growing up. 2 Monday Night Football games after week 1, absolute nonsense. It's a weekend thing, man. I just enjoy our Monday night one.
No, for sure. Like for us, where we are, that second Monday night game, the Chargers-Raiders, started at 10 p.m. Actually, I think it started later. It was like 10:20 or something, which is unbelievable for a Monday night game. Like people have, work in the morning and stuff like that, but unacceptable. 2 Monday night games definitely shouldn't be happening. Going into it, though, Chargers absolutely demolished the Raiders. Just looking at the Chargers offense, even looking at the Chargers defense, I think the entire team in and out has the makings of, an early playoff team, bare minimum early playoff team. Justin Herbert, 19 for 27, 242 yards with 2 touchdowns, but he was also leading the team in rushing yards with 31 yards. He led the team with rushing, totaling 31 yards on 9 carries, which... Is that a correct stat? That might be incorrect. I think he led the team in rushing yards, okay? Which, that's definitely an issue. All right? Definitely an issue. I know, he
did lead the team in rushing yards Monday night with 31 on 9 attempts.
On
so
9
you
attempts.
did get that right.
I did get that right. He definitely is a, rushing quarterback this season, at least. I know week 1 we definitely saw him running the ball a lot. I think he even had a rushing touchdown last week. Najee Harris, I think, needs to step his game up. I don't know, really. You can't really be outrushed by your quarterback unless it's maybe Lamar Jackson, and even then, Derrick Henry's on the team. You're not outrushing him, most likely. Keenan Allen, also showing results week 2. People thought, Keenan Allen, coming into this. I remember last season, I was looking at Keenan Allen, and I was like, this guy, man, fantasy-wise.
What are those 4 magical words, Josh? Let us know.
Unk still got it. Come on.
Still got it.
Unk still got it, dude. I'm not even going to be mad. I was going against him in fantasy last week. When he got that touchdown, I was kind of pressed. It was a nice touchdown, okay? Very respectful on Keenan Allen's end. He had 5 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. I think overall, the offense is looking beautiful. For the Chargers. I think the running game definitely, could use a step up. Quentin Johnson as well, which I thought would be, waiver wire cancer, fantasy-wise. He 3 for 7, 71 yards and a touchdown. He's showing results. Lad McConkey's got the pressure off of his shoulders. The triple head hydra of the Chargers offense with Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen, and the other one. That for some reason, Lad McConkey, the one I was talking about, the triple head hydra. You cut one head off, another one just grows back. All right, they lift each other up, and I think it's a perfect way. They need to get the running game online. I think defensively, the Chargers also did really well. The O-line kept Herbert protected from the demon that is Max Crosby. Crosby only had 2 quarterback pressures on 30 pass rush opportunities and gave Herbert plenty of time in the pocket to throw the ball to that triple head hydra. Quentin Johnson actually led the team in receiving and sits near the top of the touchdown category after catching his 3rd touchdown. So, yeah. And also Keenan Allen, has not lost a step since week 1, brought in the team's other touchdown. Lad, as I said before, pressure lifted off of his shoulders thanks to Johnson and Allen. And he's taking advantage of the wide looks, midway through the field. We saw, slowly, he had short passes like midway through the field just to chomp and get as far as possible. But yeah, I think I think the running game needs to be improved. Omari Hampton last week didn't look too well, and this week as well, not very impressive. Once again, he is a rookie, so it will take a couple of games for him to improve. 8 carries for 24 yards, and Najee Harris 8 carries for 28 yards. I have here Herbert leads team in rushing yards with 4 question marks, so I definitely wanted to capitalize on that. Chargers defense once again kept the Chargers kept the Raiders to 0 touchdowns and had them make 3 field goals. And apparently Geno Smith, not apparently, we all know this, Geno Smith threw 3 interceptions. Guys, a bum. All right, I'm a Geno Smith hater. Sue me. Okay, I got Brock Bowers on the fantasy lineup. All right, we needed 17 points. First play of the game. What does he do? Ethan? Huh?
What's he do?
He throws an interception. First play. I was pissed. I was pressed. Oh my god. But overall the Chargers defense absolutely elite. With the 3 interceptions, they also held the Raiders to under 4 yards per play. Still dominated without the starting safety Elijah Molden, who missed the game with a hamstring injury. They also lost Khalil Mack in a disgusting play. I think we saw the replay. They played it like 6 times. His arm was bending ways that it should not have been bent. And left back, Dayan Henley actually had a career game while he was sick with the flu. He had 1 QB sack, I'm pretty sure, and 1 interception. So good for him. What do you have to say about the
Yeah.
Chargers?
You touched on Marion Hampton not kind of showing what he was drafted to do, and I kind of want to go at both coaches for the Chargers, Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh. We drafted our running backs high in the first round. Ashton Jeanty was the 6th overall pick, and we're only giving him 11 carries on the day. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, especially on a day where Geno Smith's not firing on all cylinders, because he tends to do that. He's kind of a Jameis Winston-esque player where he throws for a high volume of yards, like he slings that thing, but he's also prone to that interception, which is definitely not, something you want out of your quarterback to find success, which is why you draft a guy like Ashton Jeanty to kind of take that pressure off of him, and you're only giving him 11 carries.
Yeah.
You're watching these games, and, Ashton Jeanty is the perfect eye test player. Like, he's making guys miss. He's so agile and tough to bring down. He even said ahead of the draft, you want to draft a guy that can't be tackled, and you're just not giving the ball. And you look at the box score, 11 carries, 43 yards. You think he had a bad game, but it's just because he doesn't have that high volume. He's not getting, he's not able to get those longer runs because of the low line or what have you. But you see him, and he's absolutely electric getting out of tackles, but you're just not giving him those carries. He's easily a 20 to 25 carry back, and you're just not giving him the opportunity. Same thing with Marion Hampton. I think he could also benefit from having more touches. Jim Harbaugh, in history, leans on his running game. You had Frank Gore when he coached the 49ers, and then made Blake Corum the premier running back in college football when he played for Michigan. And this year looks completely different. You got Justin Herbert looking like the guy. And you're just not giving, Najee Harris or Marion Hampton, your first round draft pick, the opportunity to kind of rush for those yards, which is why Justin Herbert is the one with the most rushing yards, because he has the most attempts, because you don't give these guys the, opportunity to really warm into the game, grow into the game, and then, get those yards. But Justin Herbert, like I said last week, absolute monster this year. He's looking like he moves past the what if man mantra and looks like the guy. 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, but the story of this game was absolutely that defense, the 3 touchdowns. Do want to give a special shout out to Trey Pipkins and Joe Alt, the left tackle, and the right tackle, keeping Max Crosby out of the backfield. You said one quarterback pressure, 0 sacks, only 1 solo tackle in the game. Keeping a monster quiet is not easy, and they did a really good job of that. Quentin Johnston, again, I said last year, I hope this is his year. Had trouble early on in his career, but had that 67-yard touchdown, and I love to see it as a big QJ guy. I love to see it out of him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I can 100% agree with what you're saying. I think especially on the Raiders side, with the Raiders run game, Geno Smith immediately throwing an interception is immediate red flags, not only for the game in the air, but the game on the ground. Ashton Jeanty did not have nearly as many carries as he should have had this game. I think after seeing, in the first quarter, in the first half, how, Geno Smith was throwing the ball, I think we should have, been switching it up. There were a couple plays where Jeanty, broke tackles with, gorgeous spin moves, even, being down by, whole possession. I think as well, if Geno Smith was connecting, the pass game, wasn't really going to be strong this game. Jacoby Myers, 6 receptions, 12 targets, 68 yards, not horrible. Brock Bowers came to the game with a knee brace after having a knee injury week 1. Definitely not something you want to see from your superstar tight end.
Yeah, still also completely underutilized that game. I understand that he was injured, but 5 catches, 38 yards is definitely not what you want to give like the number 1 tight end in the league.
Yeah.
So I think they should really lean on those young guys that they got. You don't waste your 6th pick, or you don't use your 6th pick in the draft to draft a running back to only give him 11 carries in the game.
Exactly.
I can understand if you want to keep him fresh because it's going to be a long season, but you use your 6th overall draft pick on Ashton Genty, the guy who I believe should have won the Heisman last year, and you're just not giving him the opportunity to shine and grind those tough yards out, break those tackles. Like you see those spin moves, those shoot moves to get out of the tackles, and you're just choosing to ignore it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and you deserve to lose the game if you're not leaning on those young guys, using those assets that are your biggest producers.
Yeah, no, 100%. Can fully agree. Chargers definitely deserve the win there. Going 2-0 next week. We will be talking, once again, another video, how they could go 3-0 potentially, but that's all I have to say about this game. Overall, stomp for the Chargers. A lot of players on my fantasy team playing in this game, and I actually won this week, so hell yeah.
Yeah, like I said last week, a game that the Chargers should win, and it's kind of a prove-it game to prove they're the real deal. They got over the hump of beating the Chiefs, which they haven't really been able to do, so they should beat the Raiders, and they did, so it's a step in the right direction for sure. And that wraps up our analysis here at the Nosebleeds of a packed Week 2 slate. What else do you have to say about the Week 2 slate? Anything specific?
Not really. I think, there were a bunch of good games. Definitely kept it more competitive in most of the games compared to last week, especially, last week was the Dolphins-Colts game. That was an absolute slaughter. Much more than the Chargers-Raider game or even the Falcons-Vikings game in my eyes. I think this week was less, explosive. Of course, the Giants-Cowboys game is this week's Bills-Ravens game, but I think the Bills-Ravens game was just much more impactful overall. I'm glad glad we got to see some teams do better. Some teams did worse, couldn't keep up with the pressure from last week, and anything else you have to say?
That wraps up, like I said, wraps up the Week 2 slate. Let's hope for a great Week 3.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys back for our Week 3 analysis.
Yep, for sure. See you guys back for the Week 3 analysis and our power rankings. We'll see you guys later.